Good morning. It is good to be with you. My name is Reverend Christopher Rowe. I serve as a senior minister here at Fountain Street Church, where love and justice and compassion and peacemaking are the shared works of our liberated and liberating faith. And it is good to be with you on this Sunday that is rooted and grounded and inspired by the theme of light. Light. We are moving into a season of light. Our Hindu and Jain and Sikh cousins in the spiritual family of being are beginning their celebration of Diwali. That begins this weekend. A celebration of light and illumination and inner consciousness. And of course, we are moving into a season in the coming weeks in which Christians are observing Advent and Jews are observing Hanukkah, and the natural rhythms of the earth are inviting us closer and closer towards the winter solstice. And so today's themes are inspired by light, inner wisdom, inner God or goddess within. As we come into this time of worship with one another, I invite you to hear our call to community brought to us by Jan Richardson. Blessed are you who bear the light. Will you please join me in this call to community? Blessed are you who bear the light in unbearable times, who testify to its endurance amid the unendurable, who bear witness to its presence when everything seems in shadow and in grief. Blessed are you, in whom the light lives, in whom the brightness blazes, your heart, a chapel, an altar in the deepest night that can be seen. And in that deepest night, it can be seen, the fire that shines forth in you, an uncontainable faith, a stubborn hope in love that illuminates every broken thing that it finds in joy. Blessed is the light in you. Blessed is the light that burns among us. Blessed is this time of community with one another. Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Friends, virtually every one of the great wisdom traditions in our world has some affirmation or awareness or consciousness that the light that burns within us burns within one another. And in the spirit of that namaste and the spirit of that unity and oneness, I invite you to take a moment, turn to one another, and affirm the love that is kindled within each of you. You will be called back with our gathering hymn. As we move deeper into this time of discernment and discovery of light, I invite you to hear our ancient witness, which comes to us from Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. So many garish lamps in the dying brain's lamp show. Forget about them. Concentrate on the essence. Concentrate on the light. In lucid bliss, calmly smoking off of its own holy fire, the light streams towards you from all things, all people, all possible permutations of good, evil, thought, and passion. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. One matter, one energy, one light mind, endlessly emanating all things. One turning and one burning diamond, one. Ground yourself. Strip yourself down to blind, loving silence. Stay there until you see you are gazing at the light with its own ageless eyes. Our second contemporary witness comes to us from Marianne Williamson. Hear these words as they call us into consciousness this morning. Our deepest fear is that we are not adequate. In fact, that we are inadequate. But an even greater fear, deeper fear, is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking yourself so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just some of us, it's everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Each Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I am Margie Dirks Peterson, and I'm the chaplain here at Fountain Street Church. About a month ago, I gave a talk at the All Souls Unitarian Church, and this is for you now. It's called Perfect. You may have noticed, as I have, an increased use in the word perfect in everyday parlance. I order huevos rancheros for breakfast. The server says, perfect. Do I want paper or plastic? Paper. Perfect. This expression seems to say, I understand, with perhaps a dash of approval. I know when I order the server's favorite, they say perfect with a bit more enthusiasm. So this new language shift got me to thinking, what does perfect mean? Here are a couple of dictionary definitions. From the Cambridge Dictionary: complete and correct in every way, of the best possible type or without fault. From Collins Dictionary: something that is perfect is as good as it could possibly be. And from Merriam-Webster, the following: being entirely without fault or defect, flawless, satisfying all requirements, accurate, faithfully reproducing the original, legally valid, lacking in no essential detail, complete, absolute, unequivocal, of an extreme kind, unmitigated. I think that about covers our understanding of the word perfect. The only word not mentioned here that I associate with perfection is ideal. So let's unpack some of that. Most of us have grown up with a sense of being less than. Some may even have grown up in a church that preached all humankind as sinners, the worst kind of less than. In Matthew 5:48, we are told, "You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect." That's quite a challenge if we also believe that He is the rock, His works are perfect, and all His ways are just, Deuteronomy 32:4. How, under these guidelines, can we possibly hope to become perfect? And how can we live with ourselves if we are not? The object of many of our lives has been to become as perfect as we can possibly be. But that's confusing, because what does that actually mean? We are given all kinds of standards of physical perfection. Beautiful bodies grace our screens on a daily, if not moment-to-moment basis. No matter our age, we are expected to reproduce this perfection to the best of our ability. And when we do not measure up to the images we see, think everything from gorgeous Photoshopped children to radiant elders with thick gray hair and fit mobile bodies. We are confirmed, in our own minds at least, as less than. Less than what we could be, less than what we should be, less than what we have come here to be. Not enough. We can never be perfect. Accepting the inability to achieve perfection is one way to ease our pain with our reality. If only something like God is perfect, something we can barely begin to imagine and never fully apprehend, then how can we be so hard on ourselves? We cannot be the ideal we imagine. It is an ideal, after all, not a reality. But who creates the ideals? God? If you believe that the Bible is the Word of God, then yes, at least to some degree. Most of us have a different idea about the role the Bible plays in history and in the world, though. Maybe then we can agree that we create the ideals and the ideas of perfection. Those images I mentioned above, those are created by people, usually people trying to sell something or tell a certain kind of story. We create ideals. We create ideas of perfection, and we are many different individuals. So I think it's fair to say that there is no perfect. No unwavering, universally agreed upon standard of perfection. When my father died a few years ago, my mother and I sat with Fred Wooden talking about the service we were planning for him. I said, as kind of an aside, my dad and I didn't get along very well, especially when I was a teenager. My mother immediately piped up, "Well, you were awful." To which I responded, "I was a kid. I was trying to figure out where I fit in the world." "You were horrible," she replied. Fortunately, after years of therapy, I didn't take her words to heart. But I did wonder, what if I was perfect? What if I was the perfect person, behaving in the perfect way for growth in my life and the lives of those around me? What if my father was the perfect father for me, and my mother, even now still believing that I was awful, the perfect mother? Is this possible? If we believe that we are God and God is we, it is possible. What if we, all of us, are the perfect expressions of God in all of our mistakes, sadness, poor choices, angry words, wars, murders, and desperate hopes, as well as our love, loyalty, supportiveness, and fundamental goodness? And there is a difference, I believe, between accepting ourselves as imperfect and seeing all that we live and experience as perfect. And this defines the way we approach our lives. Are we striving for perfection at all times, or at least at some times, or are we accepting of ourselves as perfect in every moment? Buried in the ideas that we are imperfect, perhaps even irredeemable sinners, we languish in depression, or we work and work and work toward the hope of redemption to the point of being unable to enjoy life. We are in a constant state of self-judgment that is not helpful, but critical and diminishing. I use the language of the Christian church because it is the backdrop for most of our lives. Sin and redemption change in understanding as we grow spiritually, but the cloying sense of having much work to do to become better does not. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with growing and becoming. That is the experience of life. Learning from having caused hurt or felt hurt is the building material of lives well lived. Yet constant self-judgment takes away the joy of lessons realized. Perfect is attainable. No, not attainable, recognizable, acknowledgeable. We must take the time to recognize our perfection and acknowledge it to the betterment of our lives. People who sense their perfection in the present moment live more fully, without self-doubt, self-criticism, and without falling prey to others' assessments of them. A dear friend recently had the difficult decision of whether and when to have his 18-year-old ailing cat euthanized. The self-recriminations were many. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I should have done it differently? In the end, he released her from her pain and discomfort and still wondered if he had done it properly. I know a young woman who married after 3 years of dating and living with her husband. They talked often and in depth about the ways that their belief systems were different, and they accepted each other in their differences. About 6 months after their wedding, he had an experience that caused him to recommit himself to some fairly conservative Christian ideas. He began praying at every meal, reading the Bible frequently, and while he still loved the young woman and accepted her as she was, he mentioned sometimes that he felt sad that she would not go to heaven. She felt betrayed, and in a conversation with me, wondered whether she had done the right thing in marrying him, or if she should have known better. I said that, of course, she had done the right thing in marrying him, because that is what she did. Anything could change going forward. Yet the choice that was made to marry was the perfect reality of what had happened. I'm happy to say that many years later, these two are still together. They keep the lines of love and communication open. Perfect. We expect it to mean good. The dictionary definitions I gave earlier point that out: complete and correct, lacking in no essential detail. How can something that is undesirable be perfect? Yet most of us have had experiences that were unpleasant at the time, and out of which grew important lessons. How can global warming be perfect? Unfeeling and inattentive political representatives, war, gun violence, the many, many things that we as a socially progressive community see as untenable. Depends on how you look at them. If these things are the result of the depravity of humankind, or our turning away from God, or ignorance and stupidity, etc., we are bound to rage against them, to stress ourselves out with the frustration of trying to make them change right away, and to feel guilt that they have happened at all. If, on the other hand, all that we see and are is divine, perhaps we do not need to take it all so personally. Perhaps we can allow ourselves some room to simply be as we are. And if someone says that they are hurt by something I've said, rather than feeling like a horrible person, I can recognize that this is a moment of growth for both of us. In his book, Conversations with God, Neale Donald Walsch shares the idea that all of our human experiences are God's experience of itself. God is not embodied except through us in his interpretation. Thus, there is no divine judgment of the things that happen. None is good, none is bad, none is perfect. They all are. And they are all God. God responds to one of Walsh's questions thus: if you believe that God is the creator and decider of all the things in your life, you are mistaken. God is the observer, not the creator. And God stands ready to assist you in living your life, but not in the way you might expect. It is not God's function to create or uncreate the circumstances or conditions of your life. God created you in the image and likeness of God. You have created the rest through the power God has given you. God created the process of life and life itself as you know it. Yet God gave you free choice to do with life as you will. In this sense, your will for you is God's will for you. You are living your life the way you are living your life, and I, God speaking here, have no preference in the matter. If we believe that we are imperfect and should be perfect, are bad, not enough, or that the things that have happened to us are wrong, we worry. We become ill. We take it out on others who are obviously not perfect. We potentially make ourselves miserable trying to reach something that is unachievable. But if we are perfect, if even the things we don't like that happen to us have a place of belonging in our becoming, we can accept and be at peace. Whatever we believe, the same things will have happened to us. So shall we choose to see them as wrong or right, or accept them as they are? Rumi says, on a day when the wind is perfect, the sail just needs to open and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. Blessed be. Please take a moment of silence. we come together as a community to share and celebrate all that there is that we know about ourselves, because we know that here we are perfect. We are the perfect friends, the perfect beloveds of one another. Let us not forget that when we leave this space. Blessed be.
You can't sing that song and not smile, especially when it's played like that. Friends, there are many ways in which we build up a world in which we go forth from this place or we live beyond this place, and ways in which we let that light shine. One of them is this weekly ingathering of our gifts. If I've said it once, I've probably said it a billion times. We have this beloved tradition here in which half of those gifts are sent into the world, places and spaces where our light can shine by entrusting it to others to hold that kindle and that ember and let it shine for hope and justice and peace and renewal and restoration in our community. So in the spirit of belovedness and letting our light shine tenfold beyond ourselves, the offering will now most graciously be taken. Friends, we have quite a few invitations this morning, as well as some recognitions and affirmations. First off, the beautiful chancel flowers were given in loving memory of Barbara W. and William C. Gallmeyer from their children. We are grateful to their children and their family for bringing this beautiful touch of color and light into our time with one another. Also, this is a reminder that this is the second Sunday. That means that there is a lunch for anybody and everybody in the social hall after the service. And then at 1 o'clock, we will have meetings for those groups that have scheduled their meetings and their gatherings. But you don't have to be going to a meeting to go and enjoy the free lunch. It's just a time to connect and be with one another. So I hope you will make your way to the social hall for that yummy lunch brought to us by the Women's Association. We are incredibly grateful for the Women's Association for pulling this off for us. So please make your way over there. Additionally, we will be having a brief tour of the Tower Room today, brought to us by Heather Palmer. She will be over there. Many of you know that it's not only our memorial room, but it is also the World War I Memorial, and this is Veterans Day weekend. And so it will be a chance to hear from Heather about the beautiful mosaics, the history of that installation of the memorial, and other interesting historical and architectural bits of information. And so if you are interested in that, please make your way to the Tower Room after the service is done. I would like to also remind families that the childcare will take a break until 12:45, and so if you have children, you would be encouraged to go get your children so that our childcare staff can come down and go to the front of the line and get some food, and then we will resume childcare at 12:45. Also, after the service, you will see folks handing out paper bags for the Westminster Food Pantry Drive. This is something we've been doing for several years, inspired and led by Kathy and Jim Higgins. We're so grateful for them for that. The goal is always to fill up their van, and sometimes we have to fill it up more than once, and so we can take that over to the food pantry. As many of you know, economic disparity is a major challenge in our country and even in our community right now, and so every bit that you can contribute to food justice is appreciated and necessary in these times. So that'll be going on. The bags go out today. You can bring them back next week, and they will go over to the food pantry. Also, we have a Thanksgiving interfaith service here on Monday at 7, Monday the 20th at 7, so that's a week from tomorrow. And this is just a reminder that Fountain Street Church is the host of this. It's sponsored by the Kaufman Interfaith Institute at Grand Valley State University, and it is also put on by all of the sponsoring organizations, of which ours is a major organization as the host. This is also an opportunity for us to show radical hospitality, and so our Women's Association is preparing a reception afterwards. You are all encouraged to come to both of those events. It should be a wonderful evening, about an hour of different traditions that exist in West Michigan, bringing forth their spiritual depth and their own inner light, and it's just an opportunity to gather. This is also an important one because it is the first time that the interfaith communities will be gathering with intention in West Michigan since the war in Israel and Gaza, and so it's an opportunity to also recognize our unity in times of conflict. So I hope that those of you who can make it will make a special point of coming that night. On Thanksgiving Day itself, at 2 p.m., Margie Peterson, our chaplain, and Dolly Lutz will be hosting a time of food, gratitude, and community in the social hall. So if this is a way you would like to spend your Thanksgiving, the church will be providing turkey and coffee and tea, and participants are invited to bring a hot side dish, salad, or dessert. Beverages besides water and coffee are welcome. You are encouraged to RSVP to Dolly at the information table in the social hall today, and so you'll be able to do that, or next Sunday. So we've got a couple weeks, but this is coming up. And so we'll make sure we have this in the beat as well. So the deadline to RSVP is next Sunday, November 19th. And so we'll push that a little more too. But just another way to connect as community in a sense of belonging with one another and enjoy one another's company on Thanksgiving. So that'll be at 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving. A huge amount of gratitude goes out to everyone who made this time together possible. To Landon, I don't see him, he's probably right below me. There he is. Thank you, Landon, so much. Thank you. As always, a huge debt of gratitude to our choir. It's such a treat in my week every week. Thank you, choir. Huge thanks to Austin McWilliams and Todd Wilkie. Tech staff, our ushers, our greeters, everyone who makes these Sundays possible from a logistical standpoint, we thank you. And of course, a huge amount of gratitude to our chaplain, Margie Peterson. I was so grateful that she was willing to do this week. I kind of asked her at the last minute because as I started thinking through what I was going to preach about, I thought, I'm pretty sure this is similar to something she has to offer us. So thank you so much, Margie. Next week is our own Fountain Street Thanksgiving service. Reverend Jody and I will be here. We'll have some jazz music. The choir is having a well-deserved Sunday off. Jody will be doing a homily on an ode to gratitude, and I will be doing a homily on an ode to joy, where we will be lifting up not only the themes of joy spiritually and ethically and morally, but also the themes of joy as it pertains to the year we've shared together at Fountain Street Church. So I'm hopeful that you will be able to make it to that special time with one another of celebration. So there's another caveat to this morning and the theme. It wasn't just light and the holidays of light that inspired this morning. In fact, I had a bit of an ulterior motive, and it comes with some bad news and some good news. So I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is we are less than a year out from the next presidential election officially, and less than 100 days out from the first primary. And the good news is that we're about a year out from the next presidential election and the next primary. I say that because these are fiercely turbulent times in our society and in our culture, if we allow for it to be, and even internally, not only in our church, but in our own beings. And so today was not just about the themes of light from a holiday perspective, but as our own chaplain pointed out, from the perspective of how we exist in community and, of course, exist in our world. My hope and vision for our church in this coming year is that we embody light, that we express light, that we embody perfectionism, not from the expectation that everybody is just like us or that we're going to have the perfect candidates to vote on or the perfect electorate process to get us there, but instead the perfection of the love and compassion and genuine nature of human beingness that we have within us already that will carry us through. And I hope that Fountain Street can be that cradle of that love and that light. So as you go forth from this week, you are invited to go forth in the perfection that already exists within you, among you, and around you. You are invited to go forth realizing the light of life and love and liberty already burns within you. And you are invited to go forth as peacemakers in a world that desperately needs this church's witness more than ever, and in this coming year with one another. Go forth to be light. Go forth in kinship. We'll see you next week. Mm-hmm.